Today we're going to talk about why you need a sales team, why everyone needs a sales team. You might say, I don't need a sales team, the product sells itself. That might be true, but I guarantee you one thing, you will sell a lot more with a sales team. Obviously more relevant for B2B, but sometimes relevant for B2C too. This is Raw Startup. I'm the founder of Vivino, the world's largest wine app and wine community with over 60 million users all over the world. And yes, even though Vivino is mostly a consumer offering a B2C product, we do have a sales team and they've been crucial for our growth. I also have an expert to help us here. Paul St. John has been building sales teams throughout his career for everything from small startups to big corporations. Tell us a little about yourself, Paul.
Hey, I'm Paul St. John. I was head of sales at GitHub, and I started at the company when we were first introducing an enterprise product. And I went from just a few customers to thousands of customers over the course of about 5 years.
After he had built the sales team at GitHub, GitHub was sold to Microsoft for $7.5 billion. Not bad at all.
If you had put a sales team in 2017, you would have had, instead of 10 million, you would have had 100 million today. And he said, how? And then I explained it to him.
As always, we only do straight talk here on Raw Startup. No BS. Finally, in the video, we'll talk a little bit about when you should get a sales team and who you need to hire first to build a great sales team. With that, let's get going. Reason number one, no large contracts will be done without a person talking to a person. If we're going to spend a lot of money, we need someone to call in case things go wrong. A web form or a chat or an email is not going to do it.
They need to have somebody to talk to in the good times and the bad times. And if they're going to put a lot of money at risk, they're going to make sure they have a contact for sure.
Bigger companies are generally more careful than smaller companies. They need a different level of service and contact. So what size deals are we talking about here?
On the smaller contracts, 7, 5, 10,000 a year, people don't expect it. So it's really customer expectation. Maybe in the future that changes. Maybe people expect everything to be online with chat and virtual assistants, and who knows what AI is going to bring. But I know big contracts require a real human being.
Basically, contract over $10,000 can be really hard to close without a sales team. So does this mean that an enterprise company will never buy like an only online SaaS service for like $10 a month?
No. I am supremely convinced that a lot of enterprise customers, they buy SaaS products all the time. It may be a small group of people that are like the pro users. They're in a group, a division, and they'll buy it for their team. They'll buy 10 seats, 15 seats. And then, of course, if it grows over time, inside that company organically without the sales team, then of course, at some point, someone's going to raise their hand and go, geez, we have a lot of users. Maybe we should call the company and try to get an enterprise agreement going.
A freemium or even a free product can be like a Trojan horse that opens the door for the sales team.
From a sales perspective, if you have those people using it, you can call those companies and say, hey, you're using this product. And they're like, really? Yeah, you've got about 30 users or 100 users. We think we should come and talk to you about how we can grow that business with you.
Reason number two, the sales team will help you build better products. Nobody talks as much to customers as the sales team. It's their job and they do a lot of talking to customers.
Because if you're a smaller company, let's say you're 10 people making a product, you get feedback right away because you'll put your betas out there and you'll talk to the customers and they'll want to be tight with you. But at some point, it becomes a little bit too big. The founder, who's probably your first salesperson, they're going to be overwhelmed with running a company. And so somebody's got to talk to customers and somebody's got to bring that information back to the business. Ultimately, when you have 100 customers or 500 customers or 1,000 customers, you have to have a consistent way to read the market, learn from the market, and bring it back to the organization. And the CEO's main job, in my opinion, is to get this product market fit, the rhythm of it, and really urge product and engineering and sales to work together. It should be an item on their weekly team meetings to go over what's happening with this, what's happening in the market, what are we doing to respond to it.
Very important point here. The CEO needs to listen to the market all the time, and the sales team is the key to that. No sales team, and you won't really know what your customers are thinking.
And so once that happens, you've got this amazing synergy between the product team, the engineering team, and the sales team, and the marketing team, learning about what the market needs, and then building the product to fit those market needs, this product market fit. And it really never stops. If you have an amazing product, it's because you've been listening to the market.
Yes, product market fit is not something you get and it just stays there. It's something that really needs to be nurtured, and the sales team can help with that. And yes, you might think this is the job of product management, but it's not as simple as that.
The product management team may have people that go and talk to customers for sure, but I don't know if they have a day job. They're building product, they're working with engineering. And the sales team's day job is to talk to customers and to talk to partners. And those two groups are going to bring the most information back to the sales team. And that's kind of the only team that's out there talking to everybody.
That's what the sales team does, talk to customers. Of course, product management does that too, but not as much as the sales team. Reason number 3, the sales team connects with everybody internally. And at startup, the product or service is never really finished. Obviously, the sales team will talk to product and engineering, but there's more to it than that.
It's not just product and engineering. The sales team's got to talk to product engineering, then they got to talk to finance. Because at some point, the product and engineering team is going to say, great, get me 10 more developers and I'll be able to help you with this need. And so the sales team goes to this finance team and says, hey, we have seen in the market that if we can build this, we can sell this. This is what we know. And here are the customers asking for it. Here's why we need it. And this is going to be a trend. It's not just these 10 customers. It's the other 500 customers or 5,000 customers that are after them that we can go sell to. So the sales team has to speak with everybody in the organization in order to do their job effectively, especially early on. The salesperson typically is kind of like a Labrador. You could throw a tennis ball into an ocean and the Labrador's going to go get it. The technical, maybe, I don't know what a technical dog would be. We should find one, but that dog will look at the tennis ball and go, I'm not going in the cold water. I'm not going to do it, because it's more like they're logical. They don't think about just grabbing the ball.
I do like Labradors. They're important in any organization. They will do anything they can to catch the ball, or in this case, get the deal. It's the same with salespeople. They'll do whatever it takes to close the deal. And you need those people in your organization. They will just push the boundaries to get the deal.
The sales team is best to go and speak with finance and exec management, really, because they are able to tell the story, the bigger story. So to give you a concrete example, you could have a technical need in the product that needs to be built. The pre-sales person, the technical salesperson will go and talk to engineering to really map out why it's needed and who's using it and what needs to be built. And they can communicate that way. The salesperson, they can go to finance and sort of paint the picture of, here's what the market looks like. Here's where we can go and get people really excited about it. So there is definitely two personalities on a sales team.
Very often, a lot of selling is done to get things done internally. Salespeople will talk to everybody to get things done. They're like the oil that keeps the engine lubricated, and you don't want an engine with no oil. It will grind to a halt. Reason number 4, your average order and retention will go way up.
I was once asked to talk to a founder about product-led growth versus a sales team because he didn't want to have a sales team. And when I spoke with him, I said, so tell me your background and story and tell me about the company. And granted, this was amazing. I mean, they had easily reached about 10 million in revenue, and they had, 1 million plus users, and they were well on their way. And the revenue was coming in consistently every month. New users were added for sure. Very happy. Great story. And the question was, why do I need a sales team? So I asked him, I said, when did you break even? And he told me in 2017, and it was 2022. And I said, okay, if you had put a sales team in 2017, you would have had, instead of 10 million, you would have had 100 million today. And he said, how? And then I explained it to him. So most customers, big customers especially, they're kind of in their own bubble. They don't really talk to their competitors. They might not know exactly the latest trend in doing something, or someone says, hey, listen, we work this way and it's really effective. They don't think about that because they're stuck in the way they've worked. And so a sales team can go across multiple customers. And of course, they don't want to leak anything confidential, but they can find trends and they can share those trends across customers, the learnings of how to best use the service and the product to really get good at whatever they're doing. And so I think the sales team, when they're able to go into an account where there's maybe 100 users and they've never spoken to them, and they know that there's 1,000 users, they can help facilitate those 100 users to show the rest of the company how good they're doing. We would many times, we would hold brown bag sessions and we would promote the great work that those 100 first users are doing. And then the other 900 would look and say, well, I want to work like that too. Just with product-led growth, you will at one point plateau. It will keep dripping in, but it's not going to grow at the accelerated rate you need in order to develop your product further, in order to penetrate the market and get the market share before competitors come along.
The sales team will talk to many different organizations, and they can take learnings on how our products use from one organization to the next. That's going to increase the usage of the product and usually the order size. You might think, hey, they can find some small pockets and then increase the usage a little bit. Actually, that's not the case. They can be multiplier. They can grow accounts many times. The way you do that is using land and expand. This means getting your foot in the door, maybe with some product-led growth, but then you grow it from there all the way to an enterprise deal.
The land and expand model is great because you can slowly get to a point where then the customer basically says, we can't keep buying 10 users at a time. Let's just do an enterprise deal. And that's great for gaining market share.
Good. We've seen how the sales team can expand our deals. How about retention? Can they make our customers stay longer?
If you don't have a sales team talking to the customer and figuring out what makes them successful and learning why a customer is successful with your product or not successful with your product, then you're only going to find out that they're not successful with your product when they don't renew. So that's a lagging indicator. So there's nobody talking to the customer. One day they just don't renew, and you don't really know why. You just know they haven't renewed. A sales team can go in and effectively sort of have leading indicators like red flags. So if they see that they're not using the product in a certain way, they might go and talk to them and say, hey, listen, I know you just bought from us. I know you just started using, but we noticed that your users are not clicking this red button or using this file. And if they did, they'd be a lot more effective. Normally customers would go, oh my God, thank you. I totally missed that. And then they get back on track with using your product, which they bought for a reason and you're selling for a reason. It's just sometimes people get caught up in not using it the right way. Sales team can catch those things and help the customer be successful. If a customer is successful, the likelihood they buy more goes way up.
So the sales team is really a leading indicator on how the customers are doing. You want to know as early as possible that the customers are not happy and not when they don't renew. That is just too late. Reason number 5, sales teams generate more reliable revenue.
How do you know these customers are going to keep bringing you the revenue? Because you're literally relying on somebody else. You're relying on somebody else to keep buying, and nobody's helping them buy.
If you don't have a sales team, you actually rely on your customers to keep coming back and buying your product. Great, they might do that, but it's not their job, and they might just stop doing that. A sales team, on the other hand, their job is to sell. I know that sounds basic, but a sales team is there, they're getting paid to sell. That's why they get up in the morning. If you don't have a sales team, you rely on your customers to do that job, and that's risky.
When a sales team has quotas, so you are going to put a quota on the sales team, of course, and you're going to pay somebody to help you bring revenue in. That's their main job, is to bring in revenue. The main job of a sales team, bring in revenue. It becomes a numbers game. Here's the market I have, the addressable market I have. Here's the amount of users we could possibly have. Here's the number of salespeople I have. Here's the likelihood that a percentage are going to be successful, like 100% successful, 80% successful, 50% successful. You can get pretty mathematical about this, and then you get really consistent. The nice thing about that is the finance team can say, all right, we're going to pay the sales team $5, and the sales team is going to bring us $10. If you have enough data, enough years of doing it, you get really good at measuring and the consistency. You start to really understand your forecast, and you can be right on the money.
With quotas for the sales team, it's just broken down, and it becomes much more likely you will hit the revenue you want, instead of just relying on your customers to buy by themselves. So here are the 5 reasons why you really need a sales team. Study it carefully. Next question is, when should we get a sales team?
My advice on when to get a sales team is the founder is your first sales team. All right. So your founder and your CTO, that's going to be like your first salesperson and your first pre-sales person, right? The first technical person, the first salesperson, telling the story, and then building the story, CTO. At some point, those 2 people are just going to get too busy. You're going to have too much customer-facing, market-facing activity.
So you really need the sales team as soon as the CEO, founder, CTO get too busy running the company. At that point, you need someone to take over. Let's have a look at who we hire first.
The first hire I would make would be a salesy product manager. The second hire I'd make is your head of pre-sales, sort of the technical salesperson that's going to team up with the head of sales. So you got a technical person and you got a salesy person. And the third hire I'd make is the sales operations person who can work on all the numbers and build out the plans, so to speak. So it's a numbers game.
If you want more content just like this, please consider pressing like and subscribe, and you won't miss any future videos. Thank you very much for watching Raw Startup. Now stop watching, go build something.